everyone, my name's Kristen. I also go by Ms.Filmingo, and welcome to today's video. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Today we are speaking with film director Tyler Chipman, who is behind the latest film, The Shade. It's a brand new horror film. You can check it out right now, but before you rent it, let me give you all a quick little rundown of the film. Ryan Beckman, a 20-year-old college student from a declining town in the Northeast, struggles with a debilitating anxiety disorder following his father's death. His older brother Jason returns home unexpectedly while battling his own demons. Together with his younger brother James, Ryan struggles to break the destructive cycle threatening their family as an ancient darkness closes in on them. Now that you all know about the film, let's go check out my interview with Tyler.
So I'm just going to start right away and say thank you so much for taking the time. I enjoyed The Shade. It was great. I love horror films because that's my cup of tea. That's my genre. I love investing into that world. So I have to ask, I always ask this right away with every single
Sure.
person I interview. Why did you want to tell this story?
Why did I want to tell this story? There's probably a little bit of a complex answer there. I mean,
Go
you
on.
know, the character Ryan is really sort of why I wanted to tell the story. All the things that are going on in his life when the story picks up in his 20th year, and he's dealing with sort of the loss of his father, trying to take care of his younger brother while getting his own life in order, and so on and so forth. Um, that character is sort of based on someone that I know very, very well, a good friend of mine, that had gone through and experienced some of the things in very similar ways that Ryan experiences in the movie.
Oh,
And I guess that I thought, I don't necessarily know that I've seen genre movies or anything similar that really looked at something quite as sort of honestly or as straightforward a manner as The Shade does. So I thought maybe I'll take a crack at telling a story in that vein that might be a little bit different than some of the other genre films that exist that explore some of those same themes and things like that.
so this is your directorial feature film debut. You directed
It
short
is.
films, correct? And
I did.
yeah, so what was the difference like for you as a director from shifting from telling short films to a more of an
Bigger than the
expanded
short films.
story? Yes, bigger than the short films,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah. Scope is obviously the biggest difference. That sort of the resources that you have at your disposal, but in terms of both equipment, collaborators, and time, especially, is quite different. So I would say, it's a scope thing. The Shade short film, which the feature is loosely based on, I would say, but not, it's definitely not like the same exact idea expanded. But we had 5 shoot days, which is not bad for a short film, and we also had like a pretty healthy budget for it. But going from a 5 day schedule with maybe a 30 or 40 person crew to an almost 30-day schedule with a crew that's 3 times the size is it's quite a bit different. You have to find different ways to keep everybody invested, the morale up, just things of that nature. And I mean, every day on a set on any shoot, no matter the length, is it's a high stakes game, especially in the indie world because you don't really have the option to go back and reshoot things or get pickups. Maybe some indies do. I've never worked on a thing where it was like we have this period of principal photography, and then that's what we have to work with in post. So, to try and bring everything you have and make sure that everyone else is bringing the same every day over that length of time is tough, but also exciting and rewarding. So, yeah, it's probably a time factor that I think was the most different thing from the short to feature.
Definitely time is a big thing with any indie film, like a lot of directors I spoke with. So how long did this take for you to
Right.
film?
We shot for 29 days
Okay.
at the end of 2022 and into January of 2023. So yeah, 29 shoot days,
Oh
which
wow.
is pretty
So
good,
yeah, that
pretty
is
solid
pretty good.
for yeah.
So I've
We had
heard
some time.
I've heard less. So you did a great
No
job with the
question.
time you
I mean,
had. So
there are people who shoot features in probably half the time. I think I met someone at the film festival where we had our world premiere at Brooklyn Horror Film Festival that made a really great feature. Her name is Amy. She made a movie called Campbell Mukbang, and I think maybe they had like 14 days or something
oh
to shoot. And I
dang.
was like, wow. But it's a great movie. So yeah, you
Like a
got to
lot of
do it in the time you have.
yeah. So like a lot of horror films, grief is a popular topic. Why did you want to explore grief and the shade?
Yeah, it's I certainly wasn't aiming to sort of be jumping on any bandwagon. It was, like I mentioned, the character Ryan is very much based on a very good friend of
Hmm.
mine who lost his father to suicide.
Hmm.
And we actually had moved in together. We were roommates just after he had lost his dad, and some of the things that I saw him dealing with, going through, were just, it was heartbreaking. And it just, I don't know, it just also sort of piqued my interest is a strange phrase to use, but it inspired me or made me want to tell a story about someone going through that because as many movies as I had watched, genre movies especially, that explore those kinds of themes, grief, as you've said, um, you know, th I just felt like it could be done in a more straightforward, sort of hyper naturalistic way. So I
Right.
wanted to, put my own spin on a story that dealt with those themes.
What excites you the most about horror? Because I have my thoughts about horror. What excites you the most about horror?
Um, what excites me? A lot of things excite me about horror. I suppose it's that you're not tethered to reality, right? You have all these surrealistic opportunities for enhancing narrative with, whatever that is, the supernatural or, monster stuff, anything like that. I know there are horror movies, obviously, like slasher films or, whodunits and things like that, that do stay grounded in sort of that, in, the real world. But I always preferred horror movies where there was that surrealistic element and you can sort of, you can pepper the surrealistic into the
Yeah,
everyday and sort of use those elements to underline, some of the ideas you might be wanting to explore or the themes, things like that.
definitely. And I love the concept of the this unique creature that we see in the film. Can you discuss about how you created this monster looking thing or
Yeah,
this like figure that we see in the film? I'm trying not
yeah,
to give too
absolutely.
much away for our audiences.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try to do the same. The creature is sort of an evolution of the antagonist of the short film. So the short film is called The Shade, and the antagonist in the short film was more of like a specter, was more of a sort of a ghost with a backstory that spoke a lot and things of that nature. It was a little bit more sort of straightforward. And when I looked at the story that we had told in the short film, I said, I think we can expand this and make it a little more interesting, maybe a little more complex, a little richer, but also a little less specific.
Right.
Um, so I kind of took this character that we had explored in the short, and I had been reading Inferno, Dante's Inferno,
Oh,
which
wow.
part of the yes. So in the seventh circle of hell, Dante and Virgil are moving through the wood of the self-murderer, and sort of the souls of these people who had died by suicide were sort of they had become trees in this terrible forest, and they were fed upon by these creatures called harpies, these
Oh,
sort of
wow.
female bird creatures. So I kind of tied that in because the movie does deal, very obviously with, mental health,
Right.
depression, suicidality. I took some pre-existing, human mythology and tied it into a more modern story.
Yeah, definitely. And it worked great wonders with that. And I like the fact that you read Dante's Inferno for it because it seems
Yeah.
perfect with the film and its tie-ins and everything. But getting into the cast now, I want to talk about the cast. You had Laura
Yeah.
Baranti in the film, who I know from many things. And can you talk about how you assembled a great cast?
Yeah, I owe a lot of that to my casting directors, Lena Todd, who's actually the first person to sign on to the project.
Oh, wow.
Other than me and Dave, obviously. So kudos to Lena. I'm very thankful for her. She brought on a second casting director named Byron Bean, and they were incredible. They really spent a lot of time talking to me, understanding uh, the story in general, what I was looking for in terms of, the characters and what sort of actors might be best for each part. And they did such a fantastic job, sort of soliciting auditions and tapes from all over the country, really. And I had some very, very, very solid choices for a lot of the cast. And yeah, I felt very fortunate by the time we got to callbacks and we were reading, the actors that had sort of made it that far. I was just like, I think this movie's gonna work from an acting standpoint because I was just so impressed with everyone we ended up with on the cast. I think they did a fantastic job. It's probably one of the things I'm most proud of in terms of the shade is the cast and the incredible performances that we got from all the actors.
I think the main actor who plays Ryan is absolutely incredible in the film. He really does a great job holding the film on his shoulders. And what
Yeah.
also caught my attention is that he's kind of like an inspiring tattoo artist. Can you talk about how the tattoo process came in? Did you bring another artist for the film, or was that the actor's
Yeah.
drawing capabilities?
Yeah, no, Chris is an amazing actor, but he's not much of an artist. He would be the first to admit that. We had an amazing sort of tattooist slash consultant. Her name was Courtney, and she was at the time um, doing an apprenticeship at Visible Ink Tattoo in Malden, Massachusetts, which is the shop we used in the movie. And she was just incredible. All the tattoos you see on Ryan, the ones he's drawing, the
Yeah.
artwork on his wall, that's all Courtney's work. She's really incredible, and we were very fortunate to have her guidance throughout. I think, the reason that I wanted to add that elements to Ryan's character, the tattoo element, was really about, sort of a regional subculture or sort of, there's like an archetypal blue collar male sort of thing happening here
Yeah,
with these Beckman boys, right? Like,
definitely. Yeah.
they're from central Massachusetts. Their dad was a contractor, Beckman Construction on the truck and the t-shirts. They have certain sort of traditional ideas about masculinity, and a lot of the movie is about how those ideas about manhood and masculinity sort of make a bad pair
Fair.
with
Yeah.
mental health issues and things like that. And yeah, so I know a lot of people from Central Mass, and that kind of fit into that. I don't want to. I'm not trying to like put people in buckets or anything. Everyone's
Yeah.
endlessly complex, of course. But yeah, tattoos, hardcore music, work boots. It's sort of this. I'm trying to paint this idea of like the blue collar kid from this area,
Well, I
and
definitely
tattoos are often a big part of that. Yeah.
Well, I definitely see it in the way you brought this character to life. But as we wrap up, I do want to ask you, what do you hope audiences take away from this film?
Yeah, I that's a tough question for me to answer because I try to divorce my thinking when I'm making a movie or writing a script or anything from what ultimately an audience might end up thinking or feeling. Because a lot of times you aim at one thing and that's not at all what a lot of people take away from it. I guess what I was aiming for was to try and tell a story that dealt with a family of brothers and their loss and their struggles with mental health, and try to paint as realistic a portrait of what that might be like to live with and through as I possibly could. And if people are watching the movie and feeling that, that this seems like very honest, or it has a very sort of true to life texture, then I would be happy with that, if that's an acceptable answer to you.
Oh, definitely. I loved it. And finally, for my last question, what is next for you? Are you going to direct something else, or are you going to go back to the short film realm?
Yeah, I would love to direct another movie. I think, I already have a script written that I'm continuing to polish right now. It's called The Seventh Gulch. It's another genre movie. It's a bigger movie in terms of scope, a little more, a little higher concept, one might say. So yeah, I'm gonna take that script out there and start hustling around and try to get that underway.
Well, I hope to see it and it comes into light, and I hope you have a great cast for it. And I can't wait to see it. So hopefully you'll send it to me because I would love to watch it since I enjoyed The Shade so much. So,
Absolutely. It
yes,
might be a little while, but
that's
I'll send
okay.
it to you when it's finished.
Take
Okay.
your time with it. I know it's going to be worthwhile in the end, but thank you so much for your time.
I want to thank Tyler once again for joining me today. I'm so happy we got to connect about this film, and I hope you all, seriously, go check out the film The Shade right now on video on demand. And if you do, come back over here and let me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, thank you again for watching. I'm so happy I get to do these videos like this. Don't forget to comment, like, and share this video, and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more videos like this. I'll see you all next time. Bye!